Hi guys, it's Lady D coming back with a deism. Um, Tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about relationship with God and how to develop that. I heard two sermons today, and one of them was talking about how we should have a grateful heart, and I did post a little bit about that. Yesterday I talked about allegiance with God, but the way that you get to the point where you can be in prayer and hear from God so quickly and so easily is something that came over time, and I wanted to kind of expound upon that. Today when I heard one of the sermons, it was about having a grateful heart. How we thank God and thank God for where we are, thank God for where we've been, thank God that we're not fully where we're going, but that we're on the way. He was talking about how we are all in transitional places, and where you are today, you will not be tomorrow. However, today is the day to sow seeds for greatness in tomorrow. So we have promise of greatness on the inside of us. All of us do. We have the ability to do great things in this earth, and I've said that many times. But we have to sow those seeds today. We have to start now. We have to not procrastinate. And our tomorrows can be so much greater than our todays and than our yesterdays. Even if either one, today or yesterday, are great, tomorrow is promised to be even greater if you do the work necessary to make it so. That was one of the things I wanted to discuss because it really touched my heart when he, preached about that. I also heard another sermon that reminded me of a time in my life. It was Sarah Jakes, and she was saying how she had gone through a tumultuous life, before she found a new husband and started her career. She was going through a lot as T.D. Jakes' daughter, and she had, so much negativity in her past, and so she overcame that. But she did so by asking questions. Taught in the church, she said she didn't fit in, but she asked questions, and it reminded me so much of how my relationship with God became what it is today. And I'm proud of that because I know that He knows who I am, and I know who He is. I know that when I talk to my Father, it's real and it's sincere. I know that when I ask questions, I get answers. Like the poetry that I recite, I don't just sit down and start writing and just want to write for like a poetry night. I write for God answers me through poem. I'll ask a question and it comes back in poetic format. So I do have a lot more to share with you guys. I have poems about women. I have poems about love. I have all kind of poems that I will be sharing over time. But tonight what I wanted to talk about more than that was my tumultuous time. So I went through a childhood where I didn't feel like I fit in. I have 5 sisters and a brother. Yeah, 5 sisters and a brother. And I am kind of in between. But I didn't really fit in. And I didn't understand that God will set you apart on purpose, for a purpose. I didn't get it. I just wanted to fit in because, when it's family, you just want to do what's right to fit in. And I didn't understand why I didn't. So I would find myself at night sitting on a porch praying to God, asking questions and like, Lord, help me to be better, to change my life, to I don't know. I didn't know what I was praying for then. I just knew I wanted a great life and I wanted to do things for the kingdom. I was saved at a very young age. As I said before, I sang in the church choir. I was doing a lot for the kingdom, but I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. So I got married very early, right out of high school. I got married I graduated at 17, got married at 18. I say that my divorce was one of my most tumultuous times, but it really wasn't. I mean, I had many things. Like I've lost 2 kids, and then I have 1. I raised 1. I reared 1. I've been blessed to have my daughter, and I'm grateful, but I would have had a son as well. And he would be about, 23? If she's turning 19, he should be about 23, 24 years old now. And that was a difficult time in my life as well. To bury my son was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. And, you know, I try not to think about those things, but I do miss him, or the idea of him, greatly. I don't know what my life would be like, to be honest with you, to have more than one child at this point. But, you know, I am grateful that I do have my daughter. So, back to what I was saying. When I was going through my divorce, when I was going through the loss of my son, when I was going through those rough times in my family, I found that I was asking God a million questions. And one of the things that Sarah Jake said was that you don't have a relationship with God till you ask him questions. And yet we've been taught in the church that you don't question God. Well, that's the only way you're going to get answers from God, is if you question him. As a matter of fact, the word says, asking you shall asking you shall receive, seeking you shall find, knocking the door shall be open unto you. It also says to train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. I told you about both of those things. So during those tumultuous times in my life, I found myself questioning God, like, why wasn't this enough? Why wasn't I enough? Why was I not good enough? What was going on in the situation that made it turn in the manner in which it did? You know, those kind of questions that when you're hurting, you ask. You question your own validity. You wonder if you're valid, if you're good enough, or, you know, was it your fault, or whatever the questions are. The thing is, when you have a track record of asking questions to God, who created you, you get answers. So my life has been a journey of finding the answers, asking the right questions, and finding the answers from God. So a lot of what you hear me say, a lot of the poetry that you'll hear in the future, a lot of that stuff came simply from questioning God, like, what is going on, or how do I become better? What do you want from me in this earth? God, how do you see me? Let me see myself through your eyes. Give me your vision. Not just your vision, but give me your vision. What do you see for me? I want to see through your eyes. Show me spiritually, that I might not see in the carnality, that I might not see what I see in the natural. I want to see what you see in the spiritual. Allow me to see and discern what you're talking about, what you're showing me in this time. So there are times that I learned through questioning God, a lot of it, you know, not just by reading the word, but like communing with God. And I have several poems, and I have a lot of testimonies through the relationship. So just like you would talk to somebody else, just like you would talk to your friends, just like you would question anybody in your life about anything that you don't understand, the first person we should be questioning is God, because he knows us better than anybody else. In relationship, I've learned after the divorce that, hey, God made your mate. God knows exactly what they need. He knows exactly where they are. He knows how to help you minister to that person, whether you're the husband or the wife. He knows exactly what your spouse needs. And if you want your relationship to be great with your person, with your spouse, with your significant other, then ask God. He knows exactly what they need. He knows exactly where they are. He knows exactly what is inside of you. And if he put your relationship together, like really, really put y'all together, then he's going to show you how to minister to that person. And he's going to let you be a vessel to help him get them where they need to be. Because your heart and your motives are pure. If you go like asking, like, God, I want to be able to control this person, what do I do? No, that's different. But if the heart is to love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her, and as a wife, your goal is to respect your husband. Your husband needs wisdom so that you can respect your husband. Your husband needs God so that he's making godly decisions, and you want to be able to respect your husband. Ask God. Like, I remember one of my pastors, I can't really give credit to any because I've had some amazing leaders. And so I don't know how many times I've heard it. I could tell you the best way I've heard it. But I want to say it was John Montgomery. I want to say that. But I've heard it from a lot of people. So let's just clear that out the way. But I believe that he was the one who first said it in my hearing, that if you want to know how something works, you read the manual on it. If you want to use your technology, this phone, this new phone that I'm still getting used to, God, the Samsung Note 8 is no joke. It's a cool phone, but Lord Jesus, it's like, Lord help me know how to work this thing. But anyway, if you want to know how something works, how something operates to full capacity, not just how to work it, not just turn it on, turn the camera on, because right now I'm looking kind of orange and I'm not liking it. But the thing is, Samsung knows how they created this phone. And they wrote a pamphlet. I haven't read it. Not all the way through. Alright, so I called my nephew. He fixed it a little bit. But he hasn't been around to actually play with the camera. He doesn't know what all I'm going to need to do with this phone. The reason why I bought it, you know. The point is, I have the manual. And when the pastor was preaching, John Montgomery was teaching, he said, if we want to know how something operates, then we need to look at the manual. If we want to know how God wants us to live in this life and what all benefits we have as children of God, then we read the manual. It's written in the Bible. We are blessed when we are obedient. We are blessed in the city and blessed in the field. Blessed when we come and when we go. Blessed is our womb and our land and our seed. All of that is blessed. But there's also cursings of disobedience, right? And then Jesus came and he fulfilled the law. Because what I just told you was in Deuteronomy, so it came from the law. But Jesus came to fulfill the law. And the new law that he gave was to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, and all your spirit, all your life. Not really like that, but, you know, summed up. And then second commandment was like unto the first, to love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. And I'll say it again, love your neighbor as yourself. Which means you have to know yourself well enough to love yourself. And that's the only way you're going to be able to love your neighbors properly. Because you'll love your neighbor the way you want to be loved. The way you love yourself, the way you forgive yourself, the way you're good to yourself. Then you ought to love your neighbor the same way. Yeah, you know, you're going to be a little bit more protective of self, but love your neighbor that way. Consider them that way. Be compassionate to them in that manner. The same way that you love yourself, if you really know who you are, and if you truly do love yourself. Because a lot of people don't love themselves. They don't love their life. They don't even know who they are. They haven't even scratched the surface of the wonderful creation that God made them. And that's because they might not have had a great life. But you know what? That's no excuse, because a lot of people have not had a great life. My life was not as great as a lot of people think it was. But when I got saved, and when I got in the Word, and when I got in the owner's manual, the man who created me, the God who created me, the Spirit that created me, he taught me how great I am. And what a wonderful, slow period of time. He took his time making me who I am. He took his time making you who you are. You are great. You are strategically planned. Your timing was perfect to make it you that came to this earth. He had work for you to do. He took time placing every talent, skill, everything, every seed necessary in your being that you would become so great. But you got to allow that stuff to manifest. You have to help it to be what it's supposed to be. God is not going to do the work for you. You have to be in the right place with the right people, having heard the right things, so that that seed can get nurtured and fertilized and watered and, you know, grow into what it's going to be. And then you become so great. You are in a state of becoming. So just remember, you're in a transitional state Today is not your final day. It's not the final say. You have so much to do in this world. And the way to get to where you need to be is to ask questions. Ask questions of God who created you. Ask questions of those around you who may see in you. Now remember, you got to watch if you've been following my videos, watch your circle. You have to watch the people that you are around, because some people don't want you to be great. Some people are in your life to distract you. Some people are in your life to keep you from becoming great. They don't want you to. They're jealous. They're envious. They're strifeful. There are people who would rather sit around and be nothing and will hate on anybody who tries to become anything. So you got to watch your circle. You got to make sure that you surround yourself with the people who are going places. If your Facebook is filled with people who are cursing all day long and sending just horrible things through social media, then why are you associated with that? You have control over who you're around. You have control over your circle, your influence. If you find someone doing what you like to do, what you would like to do, or what inspires you, what your heart says you love, then find those people and follow them. Even if you don't know them, they can teach you. I remember when I first moved here over 15 years ago, about 16 years ago, I would listen to Jim Rohn all the time. Jim Rohn, Les Brown, oh God, I can't remember everybody, Zig Ziglar, so many people who were on such a high level that my mentality changed, that my thought process started to change. I started looking, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, so many people who had made their life a success. I wanted to be successful. I didn't want to be living from paycheck to paycheck, not being able to take care of my daughter. I didn't want to be a failure. And so I did everything I could. I studied. I read books. I listened to books on cassette when I was too busy working in the home and working on a job. I would pop them into the car and just listen to it on my way to work. Now I'm listening to preaching on my way to work because I'm still within a transitional place where I don't really know where I want to be as far as the church is concerned, but I still do go to church. I go to Destiny of Faith right now. I am visiting. I haven't decided, but I also listen to the Word of God every single day, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day. And I also I commune with God every day. My whole work, my transit, that's right, commute to work is me praying and talking to God about my day, about my life, about my child, about my ministry, about what He wants me to do in the day. How can I be a blessing to people today? There's a communication that happens. And if He says, okay, read this, like the new book by T.D. Jakes called Soar. I was inspired yesterday to get that book. I went and purchased it, and I'm reading that book. All of this is information. All of this is growing me and maturing me for the next level that I'm headed to. I'm in a transitional state. I'm not where I'm going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a greater day. Tomorrow is going to be a better situation. And I'm not in a bad one now, but it's going to be even greater because I'm sowing the seeds. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm doing the work. I'm asking the questions. I'm surrounding myself around the people. I'm looking up people. I started following people on social media, on YouTube, on Instagram. I'm watching their life. I'm watching what they say. I'm listening to people who actually give you advice. Not people who just flaunt their success, but people who want to share with you the steps to get there. And those are the people I listen to. Those are the people I surround myself with. So when I'm not on social media answering, like when my friends that I grew up with, not to say anything about any of them, but like I don't see everything that they post, not because I don't want to, but because I'm so busy trying to make my life better. And I love anybody who's on their grind, and I'm always like applauding them and happy for them. But to actually scroll and troll, I don't have time for that. I made a decision that my life is too important to waste. There's too much I have to do because I got in touch with God. And I know that my life is to help others. I can't help others if I'm too busy strolling and trolling. I can't help others if I'm not my best self. I need to be my best self before I can tell anybody to be their best self. I'm working tremendously hard on becoming the best version of Deborah that I possibly can be, so that when I stand before you and when I come before anybody, that I am being truthful, honest. I'm working on me. There's so much that I need. Like physically, I want to be at my on top, you know, on better than I've ever been. But for a long time, and this goes back to my not so great childhood or life, I always got negative attention. And as a woman, I know a lot of people do like that. They don't care where the attention comes from. They just do whatever they want, and you know, they wear whatever they want, and they like the negative attention. I personally don't like that. I don't like being stared at, whether it's positive or negative. If you've ever dated me, you know me. I don't like people looking at me. You might think I'm beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I'm so much more beautiful inside than out. So I would prefer you get to know me intellectually more than try to stare at me, touch me. I don't believe in that. That's one thing I don't believe in. Communicate with me. Get to know my heart before you try to just dwell on the fact that I might look the way you like. That's just not me. I'm not one of those chicks that's thrilled by that. I can take a compliment, but I'll take it just like if my sister said it instead of my man. And it hurts some people's feelings, and I'm sorry about that, but that's just who I am. Because I'm not about what I look like. I'm not vain. I might take pictures or whatever, but I have a reason for that. There's a method to all my madness. But anyway, I wanted to say, you know, ask questions, get to know God, let God know that you're interested in knowing Him, and He will show you everything you need to know. He will lead you in all the right places to go. He will connect you with all the right people. I'm still waiting for my new crew. The new crew that's on a higher thinking plane than I was before. I can't wait for my tribe. Like, I'm so excited that, you know, He's going to send the right people instead of me just connecting with people because they wanted to connect with me, or connecting with people because in that season we were all hurting. Well, I'm not hurting anymore. I'm growing now. I'm not hurting anymore. I'm flowing now. I'm not hurting anymore. I'm looking to soar now. I'm looking for opportunities to open up businesses, to give people jobs, and I'm looking for that kind of source. I'm looking to become that kind of resource to people where I can hire you and give you a salary and a wage. And I'm not trying to minimize who you are by giving you minimum wage. That's just not my style. So I'm looking to become so great that I'm bringing people up higher with me. And those are the kind of people I want around me. Those are the kind of tribes that I want, the people that build my tribe. People who believe in success. People who want to work for it. People who are not afraid to do the grunt work. People who are intelligent. People who have their own skill set. People who are not just trying to piggyback off of me, but people who are trying to add to me and help me be great and build the vision that God has given me. Thrive Source is about us thriving together, the place you come to thrive. And if you're interested in that, then hey, we can do that thing. But I'm not about those people who just want a free ride. I'm not about it. So anyway, again, like I said, I was supposed to be talking about relationship with God, but that is relationship with God. God taught me. The first word He dropped in my spirit so many years ago when I was here, I didn't even know what it meant. I'm not going to lie. I am a very intelligent woman. I believe in intelligence. I think it's one of the sexiest things in the world. You can be the ugliest man and be intelligent, and I'll be like, yeah, boy. You know, that's just me. Intelligence turns me on. Like, not that way, but it really is attractive to me. But the very first word that God said to me was conglomerate. Conglomerate. He kept dropping it in my spirit. I was working as a manager at Rave, like when I first moved here. Not long, like maybe not even a year of being here. So 15 years ago, the word conglomerate was dropped in my spirit a long time ago. Many years later, I drew the conglomerate. I know what it is. I already know what it is. He already told me what it was. We've been in communion. Then He told me Tala is my ministry. So now Tala's raised. Now that Tala is ready to step into her own, I'm building a conglomerate. Now He has me on legacy. Another word that He dropped in my spirit a long time ago. the indelible mark that you leave on this world when you build a legacy. Now I'm looking to build a legacy because I always thought a good man in the kingdom leaves an inheritance for his children and his children's children. But we are all man because we are all mankind. So now, how awesome is it now that he's illuminating my thinking, and nobody gave that to me but God? Why does it have to be a man? We're all man. So this woman can leave a legacy in this earth. I can leave an inheritance to my child and my child's children, etc., etc. I can leave an inheritance for this nation that'll change the way that people see themselves. I can help people, women, come to grips with the fact that what they hear on the radio and how people just like kind of degrade them in music and in song, in videos and all of that stuff. That's not who God created you to be. He don't want you out there twerking and shaking your behind and doing whatever. He wants you to use your brain. He wants you to be that woman of God that he has created you to be. If you're on that kind of real tip, you'll understand where I'm coming from, and you'll know that I'm not judging because I don't come from that. I don't like to judge people. I don't believe in that. But I do know that God made us greater than just shaking your rump. So if you're all about that, then I'm all for it. Let's get together and do this thing. But you have to know who you are first. And you have to know that God has great things in store for you. And that I believe that whatever he told you you can do, that you absolutely can do it, because he's that kind of God. He don't give you vision without making provision. He don't link you to people and say, this is who I want you to connect with, if he don't allow you to bring something to the table. Everybody is not just there to just glean and grab what they want and run. Everybody has a part to play. If we are all many members of one body, but we all have different gifts, talents, and skills, that means that one of us is a muscle, one of us is a heart, an organ, one of us might be eyes, one of us might be hair, one of us might be hands, one of us might be feet. But the bottom line is, no matter what part you play, one of us is a mouth. You know, somebody has to speak, but somebody has to see, and somebody has to smell, and somebody has to hear. The bottom line is, if we all make up that body, we all have a part to play. So I don't want anybody in my circle, honestly, that is just here to take from me, hear from me, grow from me, and I want that to happen. Yes, I want that to happen. I want you to grow from me. But I also want you to be able to say, okay, D, I can't do this, but I'm good at this. And let's work together to build that thing. That's the kind of people I want in my circle. People who recognize that they have something to offer, because we all do. And people who are not ashamed or afraid or too lazy to say, let's get this thing going. Because that's the next step. Can you imagine the legacy we can build together? Can you imagine what people from this state to the next state to the next state and everywhere that we take over? It can be great when we come to the place of knowing who we are, to build that thing so great and so massive, because God said it's all possible. If we can have so many people owning so much and doing so much, just imagine what all we can do. We're not limited to time or space, you know. Maybe time, because we all have a time to go, but space, no. We can do whatever. And if we teach it right, if we give it right, if we explain it right, if we get people involved right, and the passion is there, and we write the vision and make it plain, and we teach people to believe in themselves. Every single thing I've been teaching since I opened my mouth on a video about being great and being awesome and showing God that you love him and honoring him with the gift, talent, skill by using it. All of the stuff that I've been saying all this time can make manifest one of the greatest ventures in this world. And I was asked one time, who are you? Who do you think you are? By a pastor. Who do you think you are? Do you think you have the answer for the world? That day, I was intimidated. I was embarrassed. I was a little hurt, because I never expected my father in ministry to ask me something so cold and heartless. But that's been about 6 years, maybe 7 now. And I'd like to address that. Yep. I'm me. I'm D. And I'm the chick that God gave the answer for the world. And I'm going to make it happen. So you either ride with me or watch me soar. But I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I'm not letting people intimidate me anymore. I don't care what people think of me anymore. If you want to ride the train to success with me, let's go for it. If you want to talk about me, then you waste your time, because I'm ignoring it. I love you guys. I want you to be your best self. I want you to develop that relationship with God. I want you to become confident in who He says you are. So confident that nobody can punk you. Nobody can intimidate you. Nobody can hurt you. Nobody can stop you. That you become unstoppable, unshakable, unmovable, unbreakable. You become that person that's a rock that God can trust with everything that He's given you. Because we have to do the work. We are His hands, His feet, His mouth. We are the embodiment of Christ on this earth. If we've accepted Him as our Lord and Savior, the Holy Spirit is on the inside of us. We are Jesus to people. And we have to get to work to show them what Jesus looked like and what we can do in this earth together. It's about unity, because where unity is, God commands a blessing. So let's get together. Let's get to work. Let's get to finding out who we are. Let's do our own personal healing. Let's get strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. Let's tell our testimonies and help people become great. Let's do whatever it takes to change the world. Because the world we live in today, I just finished reading about what happened in Texas. I'm praying for those people. That is a tragedy, and it's just travesty, and it's happening too frequently. It's happening much too much. So it's time for us to change the tide. It's time for God's people to stand up and do something. It's time to be not just praying about things, but changing things. And whatever it is that God has given us to do, we need to be on our grind. We need to be doing that thing. If we're not doing that thing, then becoming that thing. We need to be working toward that thing. We need to do something before it gets worse. And for those people who are already far ahead of me, then do your thing. I'll applaud you all the way, and I'll join you if I need to. If you ask me to, if you're near me, I will join the effort, because I believe in this world. I believe that God created it for a reason. I believe that we can change the world. That the kingdoms of this world can become the kingdoms of our God and of His Christ. That we are the ones that make the change. I love you guys. Have a wonderful night. I know I've gone on and on, but it's time for change, guys. And we can't change if we're on a minor level, if we're on a low level. We have to think higher. We have to think better. We have to become greater. We have to come together in unity. We have to stop hating on each other and just participating in everybody getting ahead at one time. Not at one time, but all together. Like, there's no need for me to be higher than you or think I'm better than you. Let's just come on one accord like they were in the upper room. On one accord with one mind and one heart to save this world that we live in. For our children, for our own selves, for our legacies, for everything. I refuse to say that this world is going to hell. The only way it will is if we keep our mouths closed. And if we don't do the work that we're sent here to do. I love you. Let's get to work. God bless you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.